Rachel, are you gonna pass the host back over to me? It looks like are we streaming live yet? There we go. And do I need to? I'm gonna make you a co-host.
Okay. I'll make you host. Just kindly make me the co-host.
Done. Hi, Susan.
Hello.
How's it going today?
It's raining in Vancouver, Washington.
Okay. Well, that's why it's always so gorgeous and green over there.
Yeah.
I'm in San Jose, California, and we haven't had rain since March.
I moved from Santa Cruz, California last year.
Oh, wow. Big move for you. Okay.
Yeah. To be closer to family.
Okay.
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you joined us. We also have Mozilla here. We have a large group of folks that are going to be hopping on the call soon.
Hello.
Hi there. How are you?
I am good.
Wonderful. Hi, Mozilla. Am I saying your name correctly, Mozilla?
That's correct.
All right. Just want to make sure. I have a tendency to chop up people's names. So, yeah. Doing it for years. Thiru. I'm not pronouncing your name correctly, am I? Is it maybe Tiru? Just let me know.
No, it is Thiru.
Thiru, like that? Thiru? All right.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. I don't trust myself. There she is. Hello, Thiru.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Vicky.
Hi, Emily. Good to see you.
Yes, good afternoon. We'll have the same time zone, huh? 3 o'clock.
Yeah, 3 o'clock. Is there anybody who, Mozilla, how about you? Where are you calling in from?
Southern California.
Okay.
In Texas, it's 5 o'clock.
It's 5 o'clock. Okay, close. Yeah.
And it's 6 o'clock in Toronto, Canada.
Isn't this so great? We're just like all over the place. This is amazing. And how appropriate to talk about the cloud. I just love this. And also we have Max. Is Max up? Where is Max? Bless you. Max just hopped off. I don't see him. I think Max is going to be here as our TA. I just don't see him on the list of participants. So, but he'll be here to help out. We'll wait for him to hop back on again. Oh, okay. There's Rachel. Rachel's here. Max, Rachel, who's here? So Rachel is with our support team, and she'll be here helping me today monitor the chat. So if folks have questions, please just feel free to unmute yourself, ask away, put your questions in the chat. You know, we'll be both monitoring that. So I want to make this as interactive as possible. And we'll be having some more folks come in. Before I start, has anyone seen any of our guest speaker sessions yet? Anybody been taking a glance at that? We have a really interesting one coming up. I think it's next week. It's the photographer for a previous photographer of the White House is going to be sharing his experiences. So, you know, we have some really interesting guest speakers. We have a whole new series that we've started.
There were two speakers this week that were really, really good, Vicki.
Yeah. Which ones did you see?
Yesterday with Eric from Blackstone Investment. And then the other one was a gentleman that had worked with
Oh, yeah.
I can't think of his name right now.
More about equity, something,
Yes, yes, yes.
equity investing, probably highlighting maybe the inequalities.
Yes,
That
that was
could-
good.
About, yeah, people who, yeah, invest and wow. Yeah. And we have like more coming. So Emily, yeah.
What's wrong with my virtual background? I have
So-
double camera here.
Yeah, it looks like you're fading in and out. You've used your virtual background before, haven't you?
Yes, no problem. But yesterday I have a friend over asked me, how's this work? So I think I must touch
Did
some.
you turn on your green screen when you go into your virtual background?
Yes, yes, okay.
See if you have
I
your,
turn it off now.
yeah, turn off, I have a green screen, deselect it.
I did.
See if that helps at all.
Hmm.
Otherwise, I'll be happy to stay on the line after class and we can chat about this to see
Oh, great.
what we can do.
In
Yeah.
the meantime, I turn it off then.
Okay. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead
There it
and
is.
just
Oh, yes.
get
It
started.
fixed now.
There you go. Okay, that fixed it.
Thank you.
All right, I'm good. I can leave now. I fixed it.
Thank you. Beautiful.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen with folks. And just so that you know, I have two monitors that I work off of. And so I have certain things on one monitor, certain things on my other monitor. So when I'm looking back and forth between the two monitors, that's when you see me doing this. So apologies. But at any rate, welcome everyone. Happy Friday, as if that really makes a difference some days. I don't know. It could always be a Friday. I'm Vicki, your Get Set Up guide for today. As I mentioned, I am calling in from San Jose, California, in good old Northern California here in the heart of Silicon Valley. So no surprise, I worked in the high-tech industry for over 30 years, doing technical support, lots of technical training, instructional design. And I've been fortunate enough to instruct students from around the world, some folks who are very technical, as well as folks maybe more like yourselves who were just starting to get into this world of technology, trying to see what it's all about. And really for me, being a guide with Get Set Up lets me do what I love, and that's to educate folks about technology. So just a little bit about me. We love it when folks have their cameras turned on since we are a learning organization, but I understand some folks are, maybe you're snacking, having a meal, maybe your camera isn't working today, or you just don't like to have your camera turned on. So I leave that up to you. It's just more fun when we can see each other, but your choice. We are recording today's class, and if you would like a copy of the recording, you can email us at help@getsetup.io. We've also put that in the chat. And please just let us know the name of the class as well as the date, and we'll be happy to send you a copy of the recording. And for those of you who are joining us via live stream, welcome, hello. You can see and hear everything that we are doing today. But just know if you're joining via live stream, you can't fully participate in class. You can't enter questions into the chat or unmute yourself. And also I'll be sending after class notes via email. But for those folks who are on live stream, you won't get these after class notes. And lastly, we here at Get Set Up, we are a training organization. We are not paid as guides to promote any specific products or services. We're all about the training here, and we take it very seriously. For those of you who've been really enjoying the classes, the interest groups, the social hours that you've been taking here at Get Set Up, please feel free to invite others. When you register for a class, we've now made it very easy for you to simply click on a button and invite someone else, send an email to someone to invite them to sign up for a class as well. And don't forget, we have this mobile app, mobile capability. So you can take your classes on the go. The weather's nice now. People are outside, things are opening up, and you can always take your classes with you. You're no longer stuck, on your desk. If you have a mobile device, take classes on your mobile device, really easy. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, it's all about the cloud, as I like to say. And we're going to talk in general terms. How does the cloud work? What does it mean? What can you do on the cloud? What are some of the services that are available to you? And again, if you have any questions about anything that where I'm talking about, please just stop me and ask. So let's start off by discussing what is this thing called the cloud? Well, what we mean is by the cloud, these are physical computers that are hosted on the internet, and they're connected physically with cables. So these are not computers that are, your computer that's sitting on your desk inside your house. These are computers that are physically located in another facility. They're all hooked up with cabling. And these are computers that typically are running different applications. They're storing data. And so this is this connection, this collection of computers that are connected together, running on the internet. We refer to this as the cloud. And so, for example, let's just say you're on your smartphone and you're using one of the mapping apps that's there, whether it's Apple Maps or Google Maps. You type in for directions. Even though you will see a map show up on your smartphone, what's really happening is there's one of these computers in the cloud that's dedicated to running the mapping application, and they're rendering these maps and sending them to you. So the maps that you see, all this information, it's not on your device, it's actually being held physically in the cloud on a computer that's physically hooked up via cables with other computers around the country, around the world. So that's what we mean by the cloud, these computers that are sitting on the internet, if you will, in another one of these what we call data facilities. And we're going to talk about that next. And let me know if you have any questions about, what we're talking about when we mean the cloud. Let's talk about one of these data centers. So, all of these computers that are in the cloud, they have to be housed somewhere. So they usually reside in a facility that's called a data center. And a data center is a very specific facility that's designed to house lots of computers. I don't know, has anyone ever been in a data center? Anybody? Just curious? No? Okay, well, with my, as part of my job, over the years working in high tech, I've been in a number of data centers, and they don't usually look as pretty as this one. What you're seeing here in this image, they have beautiful glass cases, everything is pristine. When you walk into one of these data centers, it may be a floor in a building. It may be a number of floors that make up a data center. And each of these, they just have racks and racks and racks of computers that are just stacked up one on top of another. Most of them, they don't even have, monitors. There's usually, what you'll see in this particular data center, you'll see a lot of monitors down here. Those are monitors that are via cabling hooked up to these different stacks of computers. And these computers are high speed. They're a lot more powerful than the computers that are typically that you run that are sitting on your desktop. They have lots and lots of storage space. So this is really, when we talk about the cloud, this is what we're referring to, these computers that are stored in data centers. Now, a data center may be owned by a company. A facility may own a building, or some companies have many data centers. When you think about large companies like Apple, Amazon, Facebook, the big ones, they have data centers all over the country, all over the world, and they're all connected together via cabling. Some companies rent out space in their data centers to other companies. So there's companies that may have their own data centers, government agencies may have their own data centers, universities, and so on. So when we talk about a data center, this is an idea. This gives you a picture of what one looks like. Any questions about data centers? Anything like that? Okay.
Yes.
Yes, Leslie.
How are they protected with all this information? How, do they have very strict security outside their buildings
Yeah.
to protect the data?
Yeah. So first of all, you have a badge that you need to not only get into the building, but probably get onto a floor. And so the data centers that I've been in, I've worked in different software companies that sometimes have their data centers like right on premise. So not only do you need a badge to get into the door of the building, but in order to get into the floor that has a data center, you also need a badge. And that badge has to have sometimes specific security assigned to it. So there's lots of security because this is the lifeblood of a company.
Yeah.
And you just, it's like, sure, come on in. It's not like you walk into a store. There's lots of security that goes on. And it's it could be floor by floor. Yeah. No.
Oh, okay.
Just
Thank you.
not anybody can get in, but
Okay.
Great question. Any other questions about data centers? And these are very specific. These facilities are specifically designed. They have specific types of flooring. There's power, air conditioning, venting, lighting. They're like, it's not just, oh, it's a building, let's put in some computers. They're specifically designed. All right. So we know that these computers in the cloud, they're all connected to each other. So they're physically connected via cable, both on land and at sea, because at some point, you run out of land and you hit the ocean. And so the cabling continues under the ocean using these submarine cable. And I'm going to show you what a map looks like. There's a company that makes a map that shows you where all the different submarine cables are. And this is exactly what they look like when they come up on land and when they go back into the sea. There's this very thick piping that is holding the cables, and there's lots of layers that go in here. And so at some point they hit the beach and they go into the ocean. And so you have all of this cabling that connects continents. And so that's how the internet is connected. That's how all these computers in the cloud are connected to each other. There's cabling under the sea. And I have a website that shows you, it's called, this is company Telegeography. And this is a map of all the submarine cables in the world. This is what it looks like. Here's Australia. So pretty cool, huh? I thought this was fascinating. This is all this company does. It just maps the different submarine cables. So as you could see, a lot of cables happening between the East Coast and Europe. And then we have Japan and so on, Far East. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And again, this is what the cables look like when they come up on land, and then they are fed into a specific facility once they're on land, which then continues the cabling. And when we talk about cabling on land, In the US, our cabling, our internet cables are laid like in the ground, like under streets. So sometimes if you see a crew working on a street, on a road crew, they're either doing something with sewers or they're also laying cable. And you can open up a manhole cover and sometimes you can see the cabling that lies underneath. And so that's how, you know, we cable everything together. Now, there are
Can I
companies.
ask a question?
Yeah, of course, sure.
You on the map before where you showed all the cabling, are the little white circles, or those are the data centers?
These are, does it say here? I'm wondering, what a great question. I was hoping, let me see if I can click on one. This is in the middle of the ocean. Yeah, I don't know, because this looks like it's right in the middle of the ocean. Let me, oh, that's such a great question. I need to find out more about this. I don't know. You know what? That is a great question. Let me find out. Thank you, Mazzella. So this is the submarine cable. Oh, now you have me intrigued. Submarine cable. What are the white circles? I will find out and add it to our after class notes.
Thank you.
See, I love it. I love it. People are just, yeah, I was hoping they would have like a legend, but I don't see one. So, all right, we'll get to the bottom of that one. Also here, there is this, give you an example. This is a map of the data centers around the world. Now, I'll tell you that this map is not complete because most companies do not want you to know where their data centers are, where they're located. So this is just, it's, you know, I'm sure it's a handful of the data centers that are located around, you know, the world. You'll see the United States, we have many more data centers here, but just to give you an example, I just wanted to show this map. There may be other more up-to-date maps out there, but most companies, most organizations don't want you to know where their data centers are located. Just a matter of security.
One other question.
Sure.
You know, when the people took hostage of the Colonial Pipeline, did they get that from the cloud or did they get it from the company?
They held their website hostage. And so there are some times when something happens to the cabling, like physically, there are hurricanes or tsunamis or something physically, earthquakes that break some of these cables. But Mazzella, that was a little bit different. They actually got into their data center and held it hostage.
Okay.
Basically, they didn't physically walk into the data center, but they hacked in from the internet. Yeah. And you're going to see more of that, unfortunately. So we need to come up with, you know, a more secure way of handling that. All right. Let's talk a little bit about what some of these computers on the cloud, what are they doing? Oh, colo means, let's go back one. Co-location, meaning that you can have more than one location, and you may have multiple locations as a backup for your data centers. So it's just not one location, it's multiple locations. And I'll go ahead and see if I can find a nice link, a document, maybe a website that talks about that. And I'll add it to our after class notes. Thank you. So let's talk a little bit about what some of these computers are doing on in the cloud. What are they running? How is it working? And you'll see here when we talk about the World Wide Web, some of these computers are running websites, the ones that are located in the cloud. Some computers are dedicated to storing data. Some are dedicated to running applications. So for example, with our mapping example, when you go to your phone and you bring up, let's say, Apple Maps, and you type out, an address to get directions, one of those computers, or many of those computers, may be allocated. Their goal is their function is to render maps and send it down to you when they've been requested. So there are a lot of different applications that these computers are. Very often they're just allocated to do one or just a few things in the cloud. And again, as I mentioned, cloud storage is one of the services that are provided with your with these different computers that are up on the cloud. Now, one of the things that I wanted to mention is when we talk about the cloud, we're really talking about these clusters of computers that are cabled together, sitting on the internet. And you'll often hear, people say, oh, it's on the Amazon cloud, or it's in the Google cloud. And so some of the larger companies, again, they own their own data centers, they, maintain them. And that collection of computers that are stored in the Amazon data centers, that's often referred to as the Amazon cloud. So if you hear that term in your mind, just think of, a data center or a collection of data centers all owned by, in this case, Amazon, and all the computers that are in those data centers that are cabled together, that's the Amazon cloud. So when we talk about cloud storage, many of the computers that are in the cloud or in a company's cloud are dedicated to storing data. Now, as technology improves, things become less expensive, it has provided the ability for consumers like you and me to be able to data on the cloud. So for example, for those of you maybe who are Google users and you use Google Drive, or maybe you're an Apple user and you use iCloud, or Microsoft user and you're, on OneDrive, you're storing your personal data on a computer in the cloud that's sitting in a data center. So if you're using Google Drive to store and organize your files in the cloud, that data is being stored on a computer in one of Google's data centers, in the Google Cloud. That's what we mean. So you can physically conjure up an image of your data being stored up here. And then, of course, whenever you need to access it, you can do so from any of your devices. All you need to do is connect to the internet and connect to one of these computers in the cloud. For this example, the Google Cloud, that's storing your data. And so that's one of the services, one of the many, applications that some of these computers in the cloud are responsible for. Anybody have any questions about that or unsure? Okay. So how do we connect to the cloud? Well, if you're working off of a PC, whether it's, I'm working off my Windows laptop, or you have a MacBook or any other a desktop, typically you use what's called an internet service provider or an ISP. And I've just put down, some of the big ones, at least out here on the West Coast: AT&T, Verizon, Comcast. There are others, but these are some of the big names, if you will, when it comes to internet service providers. And the way this works is you pay your ISP a monthly fee, and they will provide you with a cable. I have one of these routers, a little modem that sits in my house. And there is cabling that physically goes from your house to the internet service provider data center. So what happens is on your PC, you will connect to your internet service provider using, through that cabling, And then you will connect to the internet service provider's data center. And from there, they connect you to the internet. And so there's obviously a lot of technology that goes on here, but big picture, as long as you have an internet service provider, when you're on your PC and you log on to the internet, what's happening is you're making a request to your internet service provider. They provided you with a cable, and then from your internet service provider, from their data center, they will then connect you to the internet, to the cloud. And so that's the big picture of how this is happening. So that is your internet service provider. For those of you who are using smartphones, tablets, there's another way to connect to the internet, and that is through your cellular service. So once again, you get to pay another monthly fee. And some of you may use your internet service provider. If you're AT&T, let's say, you may use that as your cellular service. I think my husband and I, we just have two different, we have a separate cellular service than we do our ISP. But the way that you connect on your mobile device is that your cellular service company, they have these cell towers located throughout the country, throughout the world. And on your device, when you request to log on to the internet, or you request to use Google Maps or any other application on your mobile device, what you're doing is you're actually transmitting data to one of these cellular cell towers. And these cell towers are physically cabled. They're connected to your cellular services data center. And once you connect to your cellular company's cell tower, they then pick that request up and they connect you to the internet. And so it works just a little bit differently when you're working with cellular devices. Any questions on that? Again, it's like a big picture kind of a thing. Okay, so that's how you connect PC, mobile, cellular devices. Let's talk a little bit about some internet terms. Now, a lot of times people interchange the word internet with the cloud. That's not such a terrible thing. People know when you talk about the cloud or the internet, in general terms, it's fine. But, specifically, when we talk about the internet, it's more about the structure, like the infrastructure, and you connect to the cloud through the internet. So the internet, even though it's true, it's a collection of connected computers, it really refers to the infrastructure that makes up the network. Whereas the cloud refers to the actual computers that are connected. So, getting a little picky, but just in case people, we're interested, we do kind of throw these terms around, cloud versus internet. So when we're talking about computers that are on the cloud, connecting to computers on the internet, it's like, how does this work? So, for example, when you clicked on the link today to get to your Zoom call, to participate, to join in on the Zoom call, that link actually had a specific address. So think about it this way. You write a letter, and then you put it in an envelope, you write out someone's address, and then you put your return address up at the upper left-hand corner, and you put on a stamp and, send it to the post office. And it finds its way to the addressee, to that person. It works in a similar fashion when we're talking about the internet. So every single computer that's hooked up to the internet, whether it's your PC or any device really that's hooked up to the internet, whether it's one of these computers in the cloud, it has a specific address. And that's how when you search for something on the internet, that's how your browser, that's how people know how to find these individual computers on the internet. And so every single computer has what we call a URL. It's also known as a uniform resource locator. And this is an example, google.com, getsetup.io. You may have seen some URLs that have a .edu or .gov. These are all examples of what we call addresses or URLs. And when you click on that link to join the Zoom meeting, that link contains one of these URLs. That's how we know where to go. We're going out to a specific PC, going to a specific web address that is running the meeting. So that's what this URL is. And that's how when you open up your web browser and you type out a URL, whether it's google.com or getsetup.io, this is bringing you to a specific computer in the cloud or on the internet. So that's what that URL is doing. Now, every device also that's hooked up to the internet has what's called one of these IP addresses, Internet Protocol. And it's another way of accessing a computer that's in the cloud, that's on the internet. But people tend to remember or work better with letters than numbers. You can certainly type out, this is an example here of an IP address. There are groups of numbers that are separated by a period, a dot like you see here. And you can certainly type out an IP to get to a computer on the internet, but it's much easier. I think more people remember google.com than 192.198.1.1. So this is just to, give you some ideas of terms that are used, some common terms. So we have IP addresses. This is how we can locate different computers that are on the cloud, that are in the cloud. Any questions about URLs or these IP addresses? Again, they're assigned to every computer that's connected to the internet. And this is how you find these computers that are running the different applications.
Does that also, like for printers?
Yes.
As an address.
Exactly, Mazella. Yeah. Every device, routers, you name it. Yep.
Vicky,
Yes.
when the address put the HTTP or HTTPS in the front, what does it mean?
Sure. Great question. So the HTTPS actually refers to a website that is what we call secure. And most of the websites that you go to these days are secure, which means that when you go to one of these secure websites, for example, Google and Get Set Up, I don't know if you can see it, but you'll see right here, HTTPS. I'm running docs on, I'm on google.com. What it does is when you're exchanging data between your computer and the computer in the cloud, it is encrypted, which means if you were to look at the encryption, it looks like gobbledygook. You can't make heads or tails of it. So data that's being transmitted, whether it's your username and password or other important pieces of information that goes back and forth between maybe your computer and the computer in the cloud, that website, it's encrypted. If anyone's snooping on the internet, they just see the encrypted data. They have no idea what it means. And websites that just have HTTP, those are websites that are not secure. They do not use data encryption. And so when you're transmitting data back and forth, you actually can see the data as a stream of text. And so, yeah, that's secure versus unsecure, not secure.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we talked about this idea of, computers in the cloud, these physical computers that have their own hard disk, their own storage, running different applications. And it may be storage, backup. Also, when you have your data on in the cloud, in one of these cloud computers, you could be sharing your data with others. A lot of cloud computing services do that. And then, of course, there are many different applications that can be run in the cloud. So here are just a few. For example, email. For those of you who might be, Gmail users, even though you may be accessing your email from your computer at home or a tablet or your phone, really what you're doing is you are accessing your email on one of these cloud computers. And so these are just some of the applications. There are many, many, many applications that run what we call online. So for example, if you're, I'm a Google user and I use Google Docs. When I'm creating a document on Google Docs, even though I'm working off of my laptop, I'm actually going out to one of these computers in the Google Cloud, and I'm running the application on this actual computer, not on mine. And so there are many different cloud services that are offered. These are just a few of them, some of them that you're probably more familiar with. And let's talk a little bit about this idea of master copy. So, just a few years ago, I think many of us probably just had one device. We had a desktop or a laptop. And then, over the years, smartphones came on the market. And so we were accessing data not only with our PCs at home, but we also had a smartphone and we were checking our email and getting maps and, checking our balance, our banking balance. And then now some people may also have tablets. So, this idea of having multiple devices where you can run applications on all of them, it's important that, when you're working in the cloud, all of these devices need to be accessing the same information so that you're not working on data that's on maybe physically on your local drive on your PC while you're working on a different version of the data on your phone or your tablet. And that's what we mean by master copy. So when you're working in the cloud, no matter which device you're accessing data from the cloud, it's always the same data. So for example, you're at home and you send an email message to someone. Well, when you leave the house, maybe you're on your smartphone and you open up your email on your smartphone and you can see the message that was sent. Or you can respond to a message that was sent. And the same thing with your tablet, it's the same data no matter what device you're accessing. And it's true, let's say you delete a file that you're working on from your tablet. Well, when you log on to your laptop, when you get home, that file will be deleted because it's deleted in the cloud. Any questions about that? This idea of a master copy, it's the same data that's held in the cloud and you can access that same data from multiple devices. Let me know.
So in that instance, Vicki, is each of the devices will still have a different IP address?
Yes, that's correct. Yep. The data is the same, but each device will have its own IP address.
Okay, thanks.
Way to go. Yeah, great question. Great comment. So, when we're talking about cloud storage and different clouds offering, different companies offering different cloud services, if you're working off of Apple devices, MacBooks or, an iPad, an iPhone, you have the option to work with Apple's iCloud. So this is Apple's iCloud is their file storage application, their cloud storage, I should say. And iCloud works on your Mac devices, but it also works on Windows devices. And basically, if you can get to the web and type out, iCloud.com, you can have access to iCloud. And so you sign up for an Apple account, it's free. And what's really nice about iCloud is I use an iPhone, and if I maybe take photos or create videos on my phone, if I have it set up to synchronize with iCloud, then I can literally go to my PC, open up a web browser, type out iCloud.com, and I have access immediately to those photos, videos, any file, any document that I've created on my phone or iPad. And so this is Apple's iCloud. Again, it's free. You get 5 gigabytes of free storage space with your free Apple account. You can upgrade for additional storage space for about $1 a month. And from iCloud, if you were to type out iCloud.com and log on to your Apple account, you can run Apple's Pages, Keynote, Numbers, Photos. There are multiple applications that you can run from the web as well, from the cloud. So this is this is their cloud storage and their services that they offer from their free account. There are other companies as well. Google, you can sign up for a free Google account. And Google, when you're running Google's apps, you can run it on the Mac, you can run it on your iPhone, iPads, Windows devices. If you have an Android phone or a Chromebook, again, open up the web, you can go to google.com. And then you can get to all of these apps that are available on your with your Google account. Google Drive is one of those. And with your Google Drive, you get actually 15 gigabytes of free storage space with your free Google account. And you can upgrade for something like $2 a month to get an additional 100 gigabytes of storage space. And so these are all the different apps that are available in the Google Cloud. And finally, last but not least, Microsoft. If you're a Microsoft user, I have a Windows laptop, so I have OneDrive installed, and that's Microsoft's cloud storage application. And you can run the Microsoft 365, that's their cloud set of cloud apps. They will charge you $8.25 a month. But with that, you get 1 terabyte of storage space on your OneDrive account. And these are the other apps that you can run in the Microsoft 365 cloud. And so again, you can just open up a web and go to Microsoft 365 and get to your any one of these applications. Anybody have any questions about this? And again, we've just sort of talked about some of the big ones. Yeah, Emily.
Hi, Vicky. Sorry, I have a question again. I had problem yesterday. I found out my email stopped from my iPhone on my iPhone since Tuesday. So I kind of upgrade my internet website and didn't help. So I discovered one of my iPad had the email came in after I kind of fixed about 2 hours from the setting. And I thought if I fix one of the device should sync to my iPhone and my other iPad, but it didn't. So I had to go through each one of them to do the resetting.
Yes, that is true. So when we're talking about syncing, that's syncing up your different devices to the cloud. you do need to enable those synchronization settings on each individual device. That is true. So even though the data is shared through your different devices, there are certain settings that enable synchronization. You will need to go to each physical device and set
I
those
thought
up.
it's automatic sync, but later on I find out they sync once a month. That will be a long time. So I put a unlimited, so it will be automatically.
Automatic, yes. And unfortunately, you'll need to go to every single device.
Thank you for taking all the lesson and taught me how to reset it. I was so scared for the 4 hours to look at my notes and what to do with it. But I'm glad I took the lesson and find out the problem, you know.
But you did it, okay. And I'm so glad. Clapping.
Thank you. Thank
Clap
you.
for everyone.
Thank you.
Christine, did you have a question?
Yes. I just got a new laptop and because I didn't have Windows 10. So now when I was saving something, I was used to saving it to my documents. So now it went into the OneDrive because I was confused at first and I didn't realize that it was saving the stuff that I was trying to save into my documents into the OneDrive. So is that how it's set up?
Yeah, so when you talk about the syncing, the file syncing, especially like, for example, you're using Microsoft, I'm also on a Windows machine. When you have file syncing set up, you can work off of a file on your actual like local drive. You can bring up Microsoft Word and you can physically run the Word application on your device, make any changes. And if you have synchronization turned on, those changes get synced up to your OneDrive in the cloud.
But why doesn't it get saved into like the regular My Documents, you know, the way it used to be?
Right. And we actually have, and that's how it gets set up. Once you turn on the syncing, there's it looks like there's another set of like directories that get created.
You mean under C and then under the OneDrive?
Yes, yes. And so it's always just one copy, but that's what all of these cloud storages do, whether you're using Microsoft or, for example, Dropbox, they will do that. They will set up their own little file structure and that's how they sync up their files. And so we actually have a OneDrive class. If you wanted to learn more about that, go ahead and take a look at that class, sign up for it. And I think it'll be really useful for you. We'll take you through that.
So can I just ask you one question? Because I was trying to save my resume. So say if I saved my resume, I did save as and I named the file. So when I go to find it, it's going to be in OneDrive. It's not going to be under the documents file.
It really
it's not going to be under C. It's not going to be under C. It'll be under OneDrive.
If you've set up your OneDrive, so you can pick and choose which folders you wish to have synchronized. And if you have created that file in one of the folders that's being synced up, it will be under that OneDrive set of folders. But you can also create files outside of any folders that are set up to sync up with OneDrive, and then it'll just be sitting in that other folder. So maybe you had another folder called My or like miscellaneous on your C drive. If you saved your resume to, miscellaneous, unless that folder is set up to sync up with OneDrive, it will just be sitting in that miscellaneous folder. It won't be under that OneDrive directory structure.
So I guess I have to figure out how to sync.
Yeah. And that's sort of outside the scope of our class. So sorry about that, but take the OneDrive class. We do have that. We have OneDrive, we have Google Drive, we have iCloud, and we also have Dropbox. So yeah, they all talk about that.
I mean, I know the programs really well because I'm certified in Microsoft Office. It's just I'm not used to saving things that way.
Yeah, I know.
That happened to me too. You know, years ago, we learned how to do Word, PowerPoint, Excel. I've been retired 14 years. And
Right.
all of a sudden, this one friend of mine said, you got to save it into OneDrive. I'm like, what is that? You know, I've been
Yeah.
saving stuff,
I was used to my documents.
Yes,
yeah,
and
that's
when you
right.
turn, or that's right, when you turn on synchronization, if documents is one of the folders that you flag to have synced up, then that's how it's going to work from now on. But you can always deselect that so that it doesn't get synced up, and then that folder it will no longer be under the OneDrive directory structure. Yeah,
Oh.
it's a whole new world.
Yeah, I guess I'm getting old.
No, you're not.
No, they're changing things.
Oh,
It's
thank
them.
you.
You're welcome. So in case you were wondering, the cloud business is booming, kids. There you can see here, there's been this, 25 to 30% annual growth, probably over at least the last 10 years or more. These are the big players. No surprise here. We have some other big, companies. And what's interesting is if you look, Dell and HP, these are hardware companies. These are PC companies. They're getting into the cloud business. And so you can see some of the numbers here, what these companies are earning a year. It's just, the cloud business has taken off. Just think about all the virtual meetings that are going on and parties and all the purchasing that's being done online and the food delivery that's being done online, all of the data that's being held. So it's a hop in business. There's a lot going on. So just thought that would be interesting for folks to see. And then, just some takeaways. Remember this whole idea of the cloud. Just think about physical computers that are sitting in these data centers, these specially designed facilities. They're hooked up together with cabling. They are running applications, whether it's storing your personal data, running banking applications, email, calendaring, you name it. It's all happening. That's what we call the cloud. All of these computers that are in these different data centers, they're hooked up via cabling that runs under the ground as well as under the ocean, which I think is pretty trippy. And then there are all these services that are offered. We talked about cloud storage, all the different applications, cloud backup. And, if you're Microsoft, if you're Windows PC, you're most likely have OneDrive, Microsoft's OneDrive installed. If you're using Google, there's the Google Cloud. And depending upon the applications that you're running, you most likely are going out to different clouds. When you're running any of the Google applications, you're visiting Google's cloud. If you're running, Microsoft Word or Microsoft 365, you're working in Microsoft's cloud and so on. So hopefully this just gives you a better idea of what we mean by the cloud. What is it? How do you connect? And let me know if anyone has any questions about this. I just want to thank everyone. We're coming up to the hour here. It happens also fast. We do have other classes that you might want to take a look at that are related. So we have a class on Google Drive. We have a OneDrive, Microsoft's OneDrive class, and we also have iCloud, as well as Dropbox. It's another cloud storage. So you might want to take a look at those classes. And as for me, some of my upcoming classes that I'm teaching, Introduction to Google Apps. I also teach Dropbox, using Google, actually Contacts, that should say, and many others. I teach some of the Zoom classes. So I really hope to see you in other classes. I am going to stop my share and let me know if you have any questions about this. My hope is that, you've gotten a little bit more information about the cloud. What does it mean? What's the makeup of the cloud? And just, it's been a pleasure. I loved your questions. Thank you so much. Yeah, sure.
Can I just ask a quick question? It's not about the drive though, but it's a quick question.
Sure.
I had taken another class with one of the other instructors in tech, and he told me on Windows 365, because I used to have Norton antivirus, that
Yeah.
you really don't need to buy antivirus because Windows has it.
Yeah.
Is that true?
It is. It is true. Yeah. I don't have Norton because my Windows machine has antivirus software.
So,
Yeah.
but I don't have to like turn that on or anything. It's automatically there.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Thanks. I just wanted to
All right.
double check.
Yeah, sure. Great question.
Is that true with Apple products as well? You don't need an antivirus?
I don't know the answer to that. I mean, I have an iPad and an iPhone, but if you're working off of a MacBook, it might be. Let me find out. I'll add it to the after class notes if that's okay.
Sure.
Sure. Okay. I love when people ask me these questions because it means I get to find out. Any other questions that I can answer for you folks?
Is there any reason then, Vicki, if you have cloud storage, if you're willing to pay extra, I guess, on a monthly basis, is there any need to have like those flash drives where you put information on?
This is your user preference. So I have some of the flash drives too. Usually I use them to store information that like financial information, very personal, other personal information that that's too important for me to keep just on my hard drive. Or if I have any reservations about keeping it online, which, it's really secure. But sometimes, I've had my lawyer give me a flash drive with files on it just for my safekeeping. And I actually keep it in my storage, my little vault there, in the bank. And sometimes, it's an easy way to like manage files. If you go to somebody else's house, you can always email them files, but sometimes if your files are large, you can't always email them. You can share them using some of these cloud storage applications. That's another way to do it. But, they've been around for a while. And sometimes if you have, applications or just files on there, I still use my flash drive.
Yeah. I don't think I'm giving up on them, but I just wondered.
Well, and you also, just to let you know, sometimes different PCs, certain devices don't have a port for a flash drive. It's usually meant for a PC. So, you can put files on there, but if you're, it's going to come time probably when there may not be any ports left or any ports on your actual PC. And that's when you'll be sharing things, file sharing with your cloud storage app. Yeah, so it's really a personal preference. I still use them from time to time. Yeah, Emily.
Vicki, I do transfer all my information to the hard drive or flash drive, but is it safe to put in the iCloud? Like if your financial statement and the details like that, can anyone easy to get into the cloud and store the thing?
First of all, it's always password protected, and you can password protect individual files as well once they're stored, like on Google Drive or Dropbox or iCloud. And that's really a great question because these companies, their business relies on their ability to keep your data safe. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say 100% no one will ever hack into your data. I can't tell you that. I mean, you've seen what happens, but generally speaking, the cloud storage, these companies, they're very safe. They monitor They have a lot of monitoring that goes on. They employ people in the security business to try to keep ahead, of what else, of other hacking's going on. And I store a lot of information in the cloud. But as I tell people, if this is something that you really don't feel comfortable with, if there are certain pieces of information that, if they got hacked, just then don't store it in the cloud, but really these businesses, if they can't keep your data safe, then they're not going to be in business for much longer, so they invest a lot of money in security. But, like everything else.
Like for emergency, I took third class. Like for emergency, it's nice to have your information in the flash drive or in the little hard drive. So you can just get everything and run right away,
It is, yeah. That's another, what, you make a great, that's a great comment.
You never know, earthquake or something like that,
Yep, you have it on your flash drive. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah,
And if for some reason somebody's not on the internet and you need to give them a file, I mean, the only way you're going to get it to them is with a flash drive.
Right.
So
I have an external hard
Thank you
drive.
so much.
You're welcome. Mazzella, you have an external hard drive? Yeah. And sometimes people do that. They use it to back up their files too. Because it's up to you. When we talk about cloud storage, you can put all your data up there or just some.
I do that too.
Yeah, it's the more the merrier, I agree. I do. I have certain things backed up to different places. Yeah. And I'm on different clouds as well. So that's okay. It's all good. Any other questions that I can answer? I know we've gone over today. Sorry, people have questions. I want to get them answered. I tend to run over a little bit.
It was very informative. I learned quite a bit, so
Thank you.
Oh,
I
I'm
can't
so
wait
glad.
to do the OneDrive. That's
Okay.
the one. It's confused me, like I said, I learned Microsoft the old way, and
We
then
all did.
Where did that OneDrive come from?
Yep, we all did. So yes, take the class and it'll help to clear a lot up. Yep.
Okay, thank you
All
very
right.
much.
Thank
You're
you.
Thanks, Vicki.
welcome. Have a great weekend, everybody, if I don't see you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.
It has to be transparent. You can adjust